committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. Prime Minister Frendel Stuart has pledged Barbados' continued support to the people of Dominica. He was speaking to members of the media last night after his arrival from the storm-ravaged country. The island took a direct hit from the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, which left in its wake several dead and billions of dollars in infrastructural damage.
Stuart says the situation in Dominica strengthens the argument for a special look at the impact of climate change on small states.
I've been hearing the narrative today that rivers in Dominica, ordinarily very tame, strangely acted up this time around, and that levels of rainfall that some countries don't get in a year, Dominica recorded during this period of Erica. And that makes the point that for us here in the Caribbean, for us in CARICOM, climate change is not an academic issue.
Prime Minister Stuart spoke after a tour of areas impacted by Tropical Storm Erica. He was accompanied by CARICOM Secretary General Erwin LaRocque, Chief of Staff of the Barbados Defense Force, Colonel Alvin Quinton, and Executive Director of the Regional Security System, Bradley Watson. The CARICOM Secretary General says small states have to maintain their position on climate change.
The climate funds that have been pledged needs to be put in place to allow us to build our resilience in the Caribbean so we can better withstand these storms going forward.
Meanwhile, Mr. Skerritt says support for the rebuilding effort is global.
People are sending doctors here, nurses, engineers. It has been truly a comprehensive response.
A lot of attention is now focused on the cleanup effort at the Douglas Charles Airport here in Dominica. The runway has been cleared and at least one commercial airline has completed a test flight. The other airport at Kingsfield remains operational for helicopter and small aircraft traffic. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
More than 20 local entertainment promoters have united in their efforts to help Dominica recover after being struck by Tropical Storm Erica. The group, called Barbados Cares, held a news conference at Copacabana to speak about fundraising efforts to put a dent in the estimated $370 million to get the country back on its feet. Group member Paul Williams says shortly after the extent of the damage in Dominica became known, the promoters held their first meeting.
You can use whatever you have to help the people of Dominica. And that is more or less why, as promoters, we hold a unique position or rare position in society in that we kind of sit between the general public and corporate Barbados. And if there's any way that we can leverage that dynamic to help Dominica, that is exactly what we will do. So coming out of our first meeting, we decided that we would have a couple of events. We would take an entire weekend and produce a number of events, all proceeds of which would go to the recovery efforts in Dominica.
The group Barbados Cares will be hosting a series of events September 25th to 27th. A scare for dozens of government employees after a fire broke out in a men's bathroom on the 4th floor of the Warren's office complex. Kishmar Sinjus was on the scene and filed this report.
The Barbados Fire Service was quick to respond, averting what could have been a major blaze, and they extinguished it in 1 minute.
On arrival, we recognized that there was some smoke emitting from the eastern side of the building. The officers did an offensive. We went into the building to make an attack on the fire and discovered that the fire was located in the male bathroom, and the fire was actually confined to an extractor fan.
Damage was confined mainly to the bathroom.
We had the complete bathroom is discolored by soot. There's some radiated heat to the urinals and the toilets, and the ceiling is damaged. The extractor fan is completely destroyed.
Minister of Housing Dennis Kelman, who arrived just after the Minister of Social Care, says he was informed about the fire while at a cabinet meeting. He is pleased all of the workers were accounted for.
Based on when I went through the building, if anyone would have been trapped, they would have had to be trapped in that particular room, and it wasn't so. So I want to thank the staff, one, for the stress they would have gone through, because no one wants to be in the building when something like that occurs. And I'm happy that everybody has been accounted for, and there was no need to panic in any serious way, and it was only confined to a minor, less than 1% of the building.
Responding to reports that no alarm was heard in the building, Mr. Kelman says recent checks showed they were working.
If the normal checks are done on a regular basis and they work, the question is why it didn't work on this particular occasion.
Checks are to be made on the other extractor fans. With tomorrow being another work day, a decision on whether the complex will be closed will have to be taken by the Labor Department. Kishmar Sanjis, CBC News.
The Barbados Workers Union is warning security firm G4S not to issue workers' option forms about taking a pay cut. It comes from General Secretary Tony Moore. She says the union was made aware about plans for such actions last week. Ms. Moore spoke to the media ahead of what she called a strategic meeting this morning with shop stewards from the company to discuss what the union's next move could be.
We have indicated to G4S that it should not issue workers' option forms. So against that background, we have not issued to them a timeline. We are definite that they should not. So that's why we are in a strategic exercise. In the event that they decide to pursue that course, the union will be prepared with its response.
Ms. Moore says the union has rejected G4S proposals for workers to accept lower pay and instead would accept a 2-year moratorium on wages. According to her, this is yet another test for industrial relations in Barbados. Well, there's some good news for Barbados's tourism industry. By the middle of next month, some new equipment will be on the island to help clean up the sargassum seaweed on the coastlines. This is according to Keith Neblett, General Manager of the National Conservation Commission. He says 2 of the Charrington beach cleaning machines will be coming from Minnesota in the United States, noting that such machines have also been used to help clean up oil spills around the world.
We at the NCC have just ordered 2 Charrington 5500 equipment. Basically what they're going to do is that they're going to be able to clean the beaches with the seaweed at about 8 to 10 inches. And one of the things that it will do is to make sure that no sand, it will not impact in terms of the sand nor the turtle nests inside. So all those beaches that have up to about 8-10 inches of it, it will clean it. Where you find beaches where you have pretty close to 2 and 3 feet, obviously we will have to bring it to that level and clean it. Outside of that, the equipment also certainly will clean our beaches, you know, and get them at a level that we always want it to be at.
We'll have more news in just a moment, but first we want to get your take on this question. Do you think that greater resources should be employed to clean up the sargassum seaweed? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results for you at the end of the news.
Dear Clark, I've made a fascinating discovery, the institutional water cooler. Its gravitational pull sucks people from their workstations at the busiest times of day to stand around it and chat about emerging global trends like, will pink be in fashion next season? Meanwhile, the world slows to a stop as it waits in line to be served. I don't see that trend at Globe Finance.
Globe Finance. Think outside the bank.
When it comes to their financial service, slow is out, swift is in.
The summer parties are heating up, but Biko can cool you down with a great summer party special. A 4-liter Biko value pack, now only $34.99. Or grab the 1-liter size for just $11.99. So when the party gets hot, 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 cool down with Biko's summer party special. Available from participating retailers, Biko Mobilers, and the Biko Direct Outlet on Harbor Road.
Anyone can get gastroenteritis. Preschoolers and school-aged children most often contract the infection because of close contact and a lack of good hand washing and hygiene. But good hand washing and hygiene can significantly reduce your chances of catching or spreading gastroenteritis. So parents, guardians, and teachers help children to wash their hands correctly. Remember, practice good hygiene to prevent the spread of gastroenteritis.
Come and move that body when the Ministry of Health and the National Task Force on Physical Activity and Exercise host another fun-filled fitness fair in Independence Square, the city, on Saturday, September 12th, Caribbean Wellness Day, from 4 to 6 p.m. There will be Tai Chi, line dancing, and high and low impact aerobics. Then walk up a sweat to sweet calypso music with special appearances from iWeb and Blood. So come dressed to sweat and keep moving, Barbados.
Barbados is being challenged to keep trained experts in their positions. According to Attorney General and Minister of Home Affairs Adriel Brathwaite, challenges arise when there's a link between promotion within their respective organizations and remuneration.
How do you persuade a young man or a young woman that in fact, in an organization like this, that we need your expertise where you are, so you should not aspire, in inverted commas, to be assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner because you're better able to suit the organization where you are. In that regard, we without doubt, have to look at our structure, have to look at how we remunerate individuals.
The Heart and Stroke Foundation wants other fast food outlets on the island to follow Burger King's example and display calorie charts in their various restaurants. CEO Gina Pitts says the foundation is even willing to offer assistance, stressing the move will be beneficial to customers. Ms. Pitts sees the introduction of calorie charts as part of fast food establishments' corporate responsibility.
It's important that you give people the option and the choices. Now, you asked about why individuals who have been here or fast food outlets who've been here for many years have not decided to do that. I think, one, there is no obligation in law that makes them have to do this, so they can do as they please. But secondly, I think there's a little bit of, I suppose a strong word would be arrogance, but it's a case of, well, you know, we have the monopoly, or we have, you know, who's going to stop us from doing that? But again, I would raise the point, they have a social and corporate responsibility to their consumers to advise them of what they are consuming.
Today is a very special day for a Jericho St. George resident. It marks Viola Al's 100th birthday. She celebrated with a visit from Governor General Sir Elliot Belgrave. The former seamstress said her faith in God has kept her going, and she had some advice for young people.
God is love. He loves all the time. All the time about Jesus and the Lord and the cross and the Father in heaven. You want to hear more?
Well, Anthony's grandson, Anthony Alls, who was one of 8, says his grandmother had 3 children, 8 grandchildren, 11 great-grands and 6 great-great-grands. Mr. Alls says she was strict but loving and has this hope.
She doesn't believe in alcohol at all. I mean, I don't drink either myself. So we make sure she's comfortable, and hopefully she can live for another 100. As you said, the first 100 is the hardest years. So next 100 maybe we'll see.
A very happy birthday to Miss Alls. Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But first, a reminder that we want to hear from you on the question, do you think that greater resources should be employed to clean up this sargassum seaweed? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have the results